and welcome back to another Generative Components tutorial. Today we have something a little bit different. We'll be looking at the new features and tools in Update 7. We will be covering the new operation node, updates to the value node, global values, and the packager, and there's a new addition to the line node. So let's get started. To demonstrate some of the new features, I've created a new file based on the neutral metric seed file. In the file I've pasted a base ES and a point array, then I've generated a grid of polygons with the method byPointGrid. The other nodes I've created in the graph are just value nodes, which we will get into shortly. One of those is a list of numbers from 1 to 10, and the other is a true-false list, which I've called bool list. Focusing in on the two value nodes, this is one of the changes in Update 7. Previously, this would have been an expressions node. However, in this version, the value node has replaced both the expressions node and the watch node, providing both behaviors in a single node. Here you can see, by expanding the value list, by clicking on the plus sign, you can see more details and information about the node. And you can see similar information on the other value node. A new node is a big change for generative components, where there's been an emphasis on minimizing nodes in preference for scripting. And in the case of the value node, two nodes have been combined into one. Sometimes this is difficult to explain to new users crossing over from other platforms, but the ability to quickly add some scripting to inputs is a real time saver and can minimize the number of nodes needed for an operation. Which brings me to a new addition, the operation node. This new node gives us the access to all the available tasks associated with a given input. So let me demonstrate. First, let's drag in an operation node, and let's link in the value node titled list to the subject input. Now in the operation box, let's type in where, or you can scroll down the list and select it from there. And with that, it adds a new input called mask. Let's link up the bool list we created to this input, and you can see the operation node has filtered out the list to only show those values where the mask was true. And in this example, it's 1, 2, 5, 6, and 9 and 10. Now let's try a different operation. Let's drag in another operation node and link up operation 1 to the operation 2's subject input. Now let's try a rotate. So we can type in or select rotate from the operation box, and now we can see we have a new input for the amount of rotation. So let's type in 2 for this input, and we can see the list has been rotated by 2, and now it starts with number 5. Let's try another operation with the list. Let's drag in another operation node and linking up the list we have. Let's type in is even into the operation, and now you can see we have a list of true and false results. So let's drag in another operation node and link this up to the list we have, and we can type or select where from the drop-down list for the operation, and let's link up the operation 3 to the mask input. And now you can start to see the build-up and simplicity of the operation node for anyone that's familiar with node or flow-based programming. So let's look at how this works in a geometry-based workflow. So dragging in another operation node, let's link this up to polygon 2. Let's type in is planar or select it from the operation drop-down list. And if we drag in a value node and link this up to the operation node, we can now expand the results and you can see the structure of the data. There are 10 groups, each with 5 results inside. Now we could transpose this information if needed, so let's drag in an operation node and link this new operation up to operation 6 and type in or select transpose as the operation. Now if we link this up to a new value node, we can see that the data structure is now changed to 5 groups, each with 10 results. You could also take the same information into another operation node and using flatten as the operation and linking up to a new value node, you can see it now has 50 results as a flattened list. You can also get other types of data out of the operation node. For example, you could select, say, area and return the individual areas for each of the polygons you inputted. Or you can select total area and it'll give you the total area of all the polygons you just input. What is great about the operation node, the list of available operations change depending on the input you provided it. And you can see here, the available results for the polygon list or array is quite extensive. I found new operations I didn't even know were possible by just scrolling down this list and having a look what's available. And there's a great description next to each as a guide to what the operation does. One thing I did notice about the operation node, however, is where I expected the polygon list or array to work as a list, it doesn't quite work that way. For example, there is no where in the available operations if you link up the polygon node. The workflow I've used is to first place an operation node with the toList operation and then drag in a new operation node, and in this example, linking up operation 10, we can now see where is available in the next operation. And then if I use, say, the even list we generated before as the mask input, we could then drag in a solid node and link up operation 11 to the input, and let's add some values for the offset. And now you can see we have even rows that have been offset into solids. I think the operation node will become a great tool for any workflow. But this wasn't the only addition to Update 7. One that was a bit hidden away was a new method added to the line node. So I might just turn off the visibility of the solids. Let's place a point in the top view. Now let's drag in a line node, and you'll see the new method called by midpoint direction length, which does pretty much what it says. We can link up the point 2 to the midpoint input, and for direction, we'll just use basecs.x direction, and let's set the length to 1000. And as expected, we have a line with its midpoint at point 2. This doesn't seem that earth-shattering, but let's drop in a few points and link those up to a B-spline node. Dropping in a coordinate system and set it by number along curve, now we can drop in a new line node by midpoint direction and length, and set the coordinate system 1 as its midpoint, set the coordinate system 1.y direction as the direction, and let's set 1000 as the length. And you can start to see the power of this new addition. In the past, I'd have to set up offset points from the coordinate system by half the distance I needed and then create a line back the other direction. A lot of that additional work can now be done in a simple move with the new line method. There are also a few non-node updates in this release as well, one being the new Global Values dialog, and it's located under the Model tab. The global values are just as described. They allow you to set up some global values that can be used across different nodes. So as an example, we could set up, say, path width, and set it the value and set it to 2000, and we can give it a description if we need it. And we can set its value type as well. And we've set this one to be a double. Now you can go back to say that line node we created, and in the length, let's select and type in path width, and it'll be auto-filled from the available list. Now the global values are good, but they're not that different than what we've had in the past, but it's the combination of the new packager tool that makes them really great. If we open up the packager dialog box, you can see it has a couple of items. One of them is the global value that we just created, and another is a function. If you open up the function dialog box, you can see I just created a simple function called test function, so we could demonstrate the packager. So if we close the function dialog box and head back to the packager window, let's select both the function and the global value, and we can click on the save icon to save this to an external file. And for this, I'm just going to call it test package. Now you can see that name has been listed next to the items in the packager window. You can not only save them, but you can also load them. So let's click on the folder icon, which is described as insert/merge, and I'll select the packageexample.gcp file, which is the packager file type. When it is loaded up, you can see it has included a new function called random box and a global value of random box height. Now we can go through and check the column under the leaf symbol to store those in the GC environment. This allows us to have a centralized way of distributing not only functions, but now also global values as well. So let's see how we can use this. Let's drag in a new solid node and change its method by function. Now you can start typing in random box, and then you can select it from the list available. This function has two inputs, a polygon array, so we can link that up to our polygon 2, and a box height. And for this, we can use that global value random box height. So if we start typing in, we can see it appears in the list. Now you can see we have a random selection of those polygons that have been offset or extruded to solids, and clicking update model will randomly change those selections. So there are just 5 of the new features and tools available in the new Update 7. Hopefully you will find a way to incorporate these new tools and features into your next project. Until next time, thanks for watching.